Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, and as promised, I said that I would come to you from time to time to give you an update on what we're doing to help the Canadian people in their fight for freedom and liberty. Folks, I've got to tell you, we are being overwhelmed with not hundreds, but over 1,000 emails and messages from people all over Canada and around the world who are expressing their support for the truckers in Canada and truckers throughout the entire world. But something happened, folks. A game changer is what I call it. You know, I have a message today specifically for Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau. You know, calling your countrymen and members of your parliament who stand up for freedom and liberty Nazis is calling my countrymen here in the United States of America and people all over the world who believe in freedom and liberty, you're calling them Nazis as well. In calling my countrymen and your countrymen Nazis, what you have done is expose the truth about leaders like you. You know, your inflammatory words, if you think they helped you or helped the situation, not only in Canada, but around the world, oh my goodness, you are wrong. In fact, your inflammatory words have ignited a flame in the hearts and the souls and the spirits of freedom-loving people in every country across this planet. That is what you did. You ignited a flame in the spirits of people to rise up and to do what? To support their freedom, to support their liberty, to do something that perhaps needed to be done a long time ago. And you know what, Mr. Trudeau? We're not only doing it for us who are living in our time, but we're fighting for freedom and liberty. We're seeking to preserve our freedom and liberty for who? For our children and our grandchildren. The people of Canada want their children to live under the Canadian flag. The people of America, we want our children and grandchildren to live under this flag. You see, the flag that you are flying is a flag of darkness, is a flag of tyrannical power. But the flag that we fly symbolizes freedom and liberty. And that's what this is all about. We have a flame here in America. You have a flame in Canada. And those of you who are listening around the world have a flame in your country buried deep in the hearts of freedom-loving people. This flame I speak of, it sheds light of freedom and liberty on the darkness that these tyrannical leaders are spreading across the planet. Know this, Mr. Trudeau. Know this. You say you're a smart man? Start reading history. You've got to know history. You've got to know exactly what happens to tyrants. The power of every tyrant in the history of this earth, the power of every tyrant in the history of mankind has been extinguished by what? It hasn't been extinguished by military power. It hasn't been extinguished by economic power. But the power of every tyrant like yourself, Mr. Trudeau, has been extinguished by the light and the freedom of liberty that the people of each of our lands are willing to use as their power to eliminate those who have done much harm to all of us and future generations of Canadians, of Americans, or wherever people live. Yes, is the power of freedom and liberty. And you know what that means, Mr. Trudeau, and those other tyrants that have somehow been given birth in my time? It means that you lose and we win. Ultimately, that's what's going to happen to you. You know, this darkness that you, Mr. Trudeau, and all of your colleagues around the world, including the President of the United States, Joe Biden, this darkness, where does it come from? You know, I grapple with this issue. You're living in a wonderful, beautiful country in Canada, in America, and in other freedom-loving countries. Where does this come from? The people who elected you to office elected you not to expand the power of government, but to expand the power of the people. Not to protect the power of the government, but to protect the power of the people. And the only way you protect the power of the people is to preserve their freedom and their liberty. But you chose not to go down that road. You chose to call us Nazis. You chose to call us names that I would not utter. You're not going to hear me call you a name other than a tyrant, because that is what you are. But I must tell you, Mr. Trudeau, If you think that was going to help a situation, to help heal wounds in your country, you opened up wounds all over this planet. And I've got to tell you, at the end of the day, people like you lose, and the people who love freedom and liberty win. Starting with Pharaoh of Egypt, who enslaved the Israelis back in the Old Testament days. Let's move all the way up to Hitler. Let's move up to Mussolini. Let's move up to the Soviet Communist Party. Let's see what's going to happen to the Chinese Communist Party. Because what has happened to them is going to happen to you. And every single tyrant that walks this earth and attempts to steal from us the God-given gift of freedom and liberty. And what happened to them? They ended up in the ash bin of history. You are going to become a footnote somewhere in some history book of an individual who did what? Who tried to take from the American people here, and yes, take from the American people here, the Canadian people there, and every single freedom-loving person in their countries. Why is Lieutenant Rogers, people have asked, so involved and so intense on helping the Canadian people with regard to the freedom and liberty that they're fighting for? I am doing this, folks, because I know full well that those tyrants like to spread a cancer, and that cancer could spread from the north to the south, from the east and to the west. We must come together. We must work within the framework of the law. See, this is what is bothering them. The Canadian people, just look at what they've done and how they've executed their plan in their fight for freedom and liberty. They've done it lawfully. They've done it within the framework of their constitution, if you will. They've done it within dignity and honorable bounds. They've done it all the right way. This is what the Trudeaus of the world, the tyrants of the world, they just can't deal with that. They don't know how to deal with that. So what do? What do they always do? They seize power to intimidate, to bully. You're going to fine people. You're going to arrest people. You're going to take their kids away, for goodness sakes. You're going to tow their trucks and put them out of jobs. You're going to seize their bank accounts. You know who does that, Mr. Trudeau? You know who did it and who does it now? Who did it was the Soviet Union. Who does it now is the Chinese Communist Party. Those are the people you're in league with. Those are the people you're in league with. Well, I'll tell you, I'd rather be in league with the freedom-loving people of your country than with any one of your ilk, because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with this. First of all, words of encouragement. Not empty words, but real words with evidence to back it up. Truckers from the United States, I understand, are on their way to Canada. And let me say this to you. Based on the mail that I've gotten, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's standing up and fighting for freedom and liberty and joining you in partnerships in Canada, I'm sure they're getting the same mail I am, but the mail that you're not getting from your news media outlets, as well as we're not getting from here. 21 countries. People representing 21 countries so far have written me and said, let the Canadian truckers know. Let the Canadian people know. Let them know we stand for them because they stand for freedom and liberty. 21 countries and growing every day. Over 200,000 hits on these little broadcasts that we're sending out. It tells me something, that people are hungry for freedom and liberty. They want to be free, Mr. Trudeau. So let me say this to you, Mr. Trudeau, and then I'll wrap it up, folks. Tyrants come and go. And go you will, Mr. Trudeau. You will go along with Joe Biden. You'll go away with the Mussolinis of the world. You'll go away with those who are in charge of the communist parties of each country that still has communism. You'll go the way they go. And I'll tell you when it's going to happen. It's going to happen when your countrymen show the light of freedom and liberty at the polls. When they go and they vote and they elect people to office, they will show you the door. In fact, they will show you the light that will direct you to the door. And where is that door? What's behind that door? That's the door that's going to lead you to the ash bin of history where every other tyrant in the history of mankind ended up. You will end up in the very darkness that you have tried to put upon the people of your country. And to the Canadian people, to my wonderful, beautiful countrymen in the United States of America who are fighting this same fight, and for those of you not only in the 21 countries that have been communicating with us via emails, etc., but to every freedom-loving person on the face of the earth. I leave you today with 3 words, only 3 words. Let freedom ring. God bless you. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Until next time, do perhaps what is the most important thing we can all do together, and that is communicate to the good Lord through our prayers. There is power in prayer. There is power in prayer. A power no tyrant, no person, no government could ever, ever, ever take from us. The power of prayer. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Canada. And God bless every single freedom-loving person on the face of the earth. Please share this far and wide, folks. We'll be back. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers.